My name is Victoria Frost. I am a Thermomix team leader in Perth, and I'm joined with you today to share how to create a recipe and load that onto Cookidoo. So there are three ways to do that. Firstly, that you can create your own recipe from scratch. Secondly, you can edit a recipe that is already available on Cookidoo. And the third way is that you can import it from our recipe platform called the Recipe Community, and that's a free platform for all Thermomix owners. So I'm going to share my screen and start with on the Recipe Community. So it's very, very easy. I just find the recipe that I'm wanting to add into my Cookidoo account. And there is a button on the right-hand side that says Add to Cookidoo. So I simply just click on that, and that will um, move that recipe across into my Cookidoo platform. So I just confirm that. And now there it is. So now I'll be able to access that on the screen of my Thermomix and take you back to the home screen of Cookidoo. So on this home screen, to locate your created recipes, you go into My Recipes, and there is a section called Created Recipes on the left here. So you're able to upload up to 100 recipes in this section. To my knowledge, they may have changed that now. Um, and if I'm wanting to simply create a recipe from scratch, perhaps it's your grandmother's apple pie recipe from when you were a young person. So, and you want to convert that into Thermomix language and load it onto Cookidoo. There is a little plus sign down in the bottom right-hand corner. So you can click on that button and create the recipe. We then create the recipe. You can add an image. You can include any of the information about the recipe. Where we need to upload the contents of the recipe. So, for example, 100 grams of apple. And then I'm just going to totally make this up. 100 grams of water. Um, we might put 50 grams of sugar just to give you an example of how to do that. And then we want to add the preparation steps. So I might say add, and this is where it becomes a little bit more complicated, and that you need to do these steps in order for it to appear properly on your Thermomix. You now need to tell the system what you're wanting to do so that it's not just words on a screen. So in this instance, I'd like to add some ingredients. And so then on your TM6 or TM7, it will actually come up with the scales at this point. So I'm going to add some ingredients, and you simply just click on the ingredient that you're wanting to weigh. Now, it's really important that that green line comes up for you. If that doesn't happen, it will just be words on the screen on your machine. Add 100 grams of apple, and then we'll add the water. And this is not a recipe, by the way, I'm just making it up. Okay, and then we want to cook that. So maybe I'll add another step if you wanted to. Cook. And then you'll want to put in the speed and temperature, etc., so that it comes up as preset for you on the screen of your machine. So we want to click on the blades here, and maybe we'll put 30 seconds, 80 degrees, and what speed? Speed 1. I'm just making this up. So now because it's got that line, that will then register properly on your machine. Now, if you're wanting some help with how to convert a recipe, there's a couple of options. Obviously, you can put the recipe, the traditional method, into AI, like maybe ChatGPT or similar, and that they'll do a pretty good job of converting that for you. Otherwise, you can take a similar recipe that's already on Cookidoo and just edit that. So let's have a look. I might explore and say apple pie. Might pick up a similar recipe. Let's go apple pie here. And in this situation, we go to the three dots, which I hear is German for more, and we want to add it to our created recipe. So this is the third way that we can add a recipe into our created recipe list. So now I'm taking a Thermomix Cookidoo recipe and simply creating that and making it my own. So this would apply if you're just wanting to tweak a recipe, or if you're as we were before, using wanting to create a recipe from your own recipe, but not sure where to start. So this one's actually written, it's an American recipe. So we could work out what the ounces were and then change that into grams. I don't know how much that is. Maybe we'll just go 250 grams. And then, so you're able to change all of this to suit what your particular recipe is. And then I wonder if that will not change. So we might just delete flour and then add that in again. There we go. So that is now updated that for me, and you could do the same for the other ingredients. And that's how you create your recipes. I might just quickly run down to my machine and show you what it looks like on the machine. So on your TM6, you'll find our created recipes under the menu, My Recipes, then Created Recipes. And actually, I need to correct myself. It's 150 recipes that we have. So they have increased it, which is cool. So we can click on the recipe we've just done. And you'll notice it looks slightly different to what a normal cookie dough recipe will look like. Rather than clicking next, we're just simply scrolling to the right, or yeah, scrolling that way. But you'll notice that those underlying ingredients are listed there. So when I click on the scales here, it will list those ingredients in that step. Once you add in an ingredient, you will need to just tear that to go on to the next ingredient. We then go to the right and our preset settings for cooking are listed there as well. So I can just simply click on that and that will take me to the step, which I can start. On your TM7, the recipes for the created recipes, if you go into the little cookbook, and then on the far right hand side, there's created recipes. You'll see our apple pie recipe. And then the TM7, it looks very similar to a cookie dough recipe. So the way that we've set it up, every ingredient will list in that step. Once you've weighed it in, it'll tick off. You can click next. And then everything's preset. So you just simply push play when you're ready. I hope that's been helpful. Happy cooking, everybody.